What happens when the light disappears? Not at night, but in the middle of the day, when the sun itself hides in mourning. This is the story of that moment, a day when heaven wept and the earth trembled. It began in the quiet hours before dawn. Jesus of Nazareth, healer, teacher, the one who raised the dead, was betrayed with a kiss, arrested by soldiers, abandoned by his closest friends. He was dragged before the high priests, beaten, spit on, and then taken to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pilate looked at Jesus and saw no crime, no guilt, no reason for death, and yet the voices of the crowd grew louder. "Crucify him! Crucify him!" they screamed. They didn't want justice, they wanted blood, and Pilate, afraid of the mob, washed his hands. The soldiers mocked him. They dressed him in a scarlet robe, pressed a crown of thorns into his head until blood ran down his face. They struck him, laughed at him, knelt in mock worship. Then came the cross, rough, heavy, splintered wood pressed onto torn flesh. Jesus carried it through the streets of Jerusalem. He stumbled, fell, bled, while people watched. Some wept, some shouted. A man named Simon of Cyrene was pulled from the crowd to help carry it. He didn't know he was helping bear the weight of the world. At Golgotha, they laid him on the wood. They drove nails through his hands, through his feet, each strike echoing like thunder across the ages. They raised the cross and dropped it into the ground, and there he hung. He looked at the people, at those who mocked him, and with a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." At noon, the sky went dark, not like an eclipse, not like a storm, but like the world itself went cold. The sun stopped shining, the ground shook, rocks split. In the temple, the thick veil tore from top to bottom. Something had changed forever. Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" It was not just pain in his voice, but the weight of every sin, every sorrow. He was alone. So we never would be. And then, with his final breath, he said, "It is finished." He died. The Roman centurion who had stood watch looked at Jesus and whispered, "Surely this man was the Son of God." They took his body down, wrapped it in linen, placed it in a borrowed tomb. A stone was rolled in place, and silence followed. But that silence was not the end. In that tomb, behind the stone, hope was preparing to rise. On the third day, the sun would return with light far brighter than the sun that had gone dark. The grave would lose its power, and death would be defeated. The day the sun went dark was not a day of defeat. It was a day of victory. The cross, once a symbol of cruelty, became a sign of love, a bridge between heaven and earth. He suffered so we could be healed. He died so we could live. And now, every time we remember the cross, we remember this, that love held him there, not nails. The darkest day in human history became the most hopeful, because Jesus didn't stay dead. He rose, and the light that returned was eternal. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Like this video if it touched your heart. Share it with someone who needs this hope, and subscribe to walk with us through the story that changed everything.